Okay. Let me get this started. Tell me if the fan in the background is too loud. I don't know what's going on real quick. And then we'll get set up, started for the chapter. We got about 13 minutes, and then we'll see what's going on this week. Where did we exactly leave off again? The last part was what, Gray? Unless here's one thing I would. Oh, hang on, shit! I got that too loud. Hold on. Let me get my headphones. Okay, one sec. I'm just switching all my stuff on. There we go. Let's see. Is anyone here to say what's up? What's up, AP? I'm doing good. You don't hear the fan? Okay. I'll turn my mic up a little bit. I'm moving it closer to me. I was just trying to make sure that I didn't have this stuff. The chapter's not out yet. We got about 12 or so minutes until it's out, and then we'll see exactly what's going on. But we left off with Gray. Unless somebody shows up from Gold Owl new in the room that has a relevant design, I don't feel like Gray's in any danger. Because at least from what I can tell, because we didn't see anything to say like, oh, well, they had their, they got bound up with magic ceiling cuffs, which I don't think is it's impossible for them to know that, but it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't know that, but it also wouldn't surprise me if they did, because it's like they could just be unaware of something like that for wizards, but also wouldn't surprise me if they had people research like the weaknesses and like known stuff out there for them. It's just one of those things, we just don't know the extent of them. Hopefully we'll see maybe this chapter, make them look a little bit more competent. But the alternative would be like if they just tied him up and maybe it's like Gray was just waiting to bust out after getting some information, and then it comes out. It comes out in like 10 minutes. So because of daylight savings, it switched an hour. But what was I saying? I would prefer it if it's like, oh well, Gray is waiting for to get information out of them to kind of figure out what he can before taking these guys down, and then one of the members of Gold Owl shows up that is like a relevant member. And I would hope not the Signario sisters. I'd like it to be somebody that is just like, oh, I'm so-and-so. I'm one of the, whatever they're, the something 6 of Gold Owl. And it's like, we're the 6 right below the Signario sisters and Guildmaster Duke or something. So it'd be, somebody that's like, we just have a handful of people where we have some relevant fighters that can actually put up a good match against some of the people we have. And then you can have Gray fight one, maybe Sting and Rogue can fight some, and Minerva and Yukino can fight one. And you just kind of do that. But we'll see. It could easily be that they had magic ceiling stone cuffs and they're kind of keeping them captive and more prepared for this. But I also would really like it to be a moment where it's like we could just have Gray bust out and get into a point where it's like, okay, we have an actual serious person from the guild. Because I just don't really want to deal with Sai too much. Like, it's weird that Mishima is like, used Sai for such, like, the amount that he has, just because it doesn't seem like he would. Sai just doesn't, like, seem like a character that would get a moment, and then after like the initial part, we probably wouldn't see him again. We've actually been seeing a good chunk of him after that. But for now, I'm just gonna hope that we'll get to like a better member, because I just don't really care for him. Nothing about his character so far, Mishima has made it for me to like him. Like Wraith is an easy example. Someone like Nibaru. Nibaru was silly. His magic was goofy but really cool to watch. And then I really liked the memes around that's like essentially like his 2 forms before going in to start actually becoming a dragon. It was like Spider-Man and Venom. He just became like a big buff, like weirdly ripped version of himself. I thought that was pretty funny, but also cool. Where it's just like there's nothing really likable about Sai. His design isn't cool. His powers aren't very cool. His personality isn't really likable. Maybe like he's got some neat tricks, but that's really it. He's just this dude that keeps returning. Maybe he'll turn into somebody better. I don't know. Do you think it's going to be another setup chapter? I hope not. Like, the way that I hope the chapter goes is it'd be like half maybe like some exposition and then half a fight for like Gray and like some new character, and then maybe like, oh, it's we get like just the opening bit of the fight, and then maybe like the fight ends at the end of the very next chapter or the chapter after that or something like that. Or it maybe sets it up this chapter, we get like whatever, like 6-7 pages, maybe like 8 pages of the opening of this fight. The next chapter we get a couple pages further the fight, and then we go to another scene. I think that would actually be probably be the best thing for me to think of at the moment, right? Could anybody think of like a better scenario? Really, Gray just gets some information he wants, no diffs the fodder, somebody relevant, a cool designed guy shows up, they have a bit of a short fight, just kind of like showing off. Maybe Gray gets a couple cool moments, but we get to see like this guy's cool abilities, and then the chapter ends. Maybe like also we find out something going on with one of the other, maybe like Natsu or. Well, I kind of like the idea of Natsu and them like it's taking them a minute longer to get here. Rogue was able to get here faster. I know that they're within the vicinity because like some of the exceeds are there too, but it's like I want it to be like they're not going to be here for a minute. Like Rogue is essentially able to just infiltrate way faster because obviously being a shadow, where it's like everybody else is taking a minute just to kind of get in there and figure out what's going on. But again, we're only seeing it because of ahead of time because of Rogue. So something with that. I mean, Rogue could show up and help Gray too. I think that would be cool. I maybe it's like 2 members. Actually, that would be really cool. What if it's like because of the Signario sisters, and then you have like Duke and Athena, all of them otherwise, everyone in their group that's strong, they work in a duo. So it could be like, that's why we have people like Yukino Minerva, Sting, Rogue, or, you know, you can mix them up, have like Natsu, Sting, and we could have Gray, Rogue team up against a duo from Gold Owl. That would be really cool too, because Rogue needs to get preoccupied somehow. I think it actually, one thing I will say, just real quick, and I have to give, I'll give some quick explanation. I'll respond to your guys' comments in a second too. Rogue versus Sai, I think would actually be a fight that I could get behind, and the reason is we know for a fact Sting and Rogue aren't as powerful separate. They're high quality in terms of like getting them the best out of each other is when they're fighting together. So it's like you could have Rogue be a pretty fair bar to set, where it's like Rogue has like maybe a medium to like a little above medium level of a difficulty fight against Sai. That would put us at an awareness of where Sai is at, but also it'd be like, okay, well, Rogue is like a chunk above that, but obviously Sting and Rogue combined is a different thing. And then you look at like, okay, well, then Gray and like Gajo being much stronger, we know where they are individually compared to Rogue, and then it gives us a better idea with Sai. I think that would actually be pretty good, because it wouldn't. I don't think it would make Rogue look bad, because we know that Rogue isn't going to be as powerful if he's not fighting as a duo with Sting. So it's like you have him with Sai. You have again a character who's going to be alchemy, so it might be a little bit more tricky than his normal fights. I think that could actually really work. I will say that before we get to the chapter. I think that'd be cool. Maybe somebody shows up that is relevant in the guild that, you know, not the Signario sisters, but like an actual powerful character. If that's who Gray fights, well, then it's not, wait, where does Wendy go? Because it's hard. I feel like you would have to have a duo show up, because then Wendy would have to fight somebody. And I don't think Wendy would have a problem with Sai at all. Like, the only thing that would be weird is, like, who would the love bond turn in for Wendy? Wendy doesn't have any romantic interests, and it's like if she turns into like, it's like a family member love kind of thing, and turns into like Carla. I don't know if it would turn into Carla, but it's like if it turns into like, oh, a brother or a sister, it's like, oh, it turns into Natsu or Urza or somebody. And especially like if Wendy turned into Lucy or Urza, I think she would be really dangerous, because we know that Wendy pays attention to the people fighting around her. So I think that she would know how to just use their techniques. Maybe not like at exact level of them, but I think she'd be really just pretty much on point executing the plan. Rogue is not stronger than Gray. Stop it. Get out of here. That's ridiculous. I believe hemokinesis. That's like blood manipulation, right? I think blood manipulation is pretty cool. What's going on, Crystal Sanders? How you doing today? What's up, Jeff? Can we get a 5-word question and give me a 30-minute answer? Depends on what it is. Like if you just give me something like that I don't really think about, but if it's something that like actually makes me go like, huh, then yeah, that actually makes me think of like a long, much more of like how like delving into that situation can actually go in terms of like moving other points in the plot. Because that'd be really cool if it's like, oh, 2 members of the guild show up, so it's like, oh, we're gonna have double fights all the arc. It'd be cool because it's like, oh, it's a character thing for their arc. You reach a certain level, you essentially get paired with another powerful character because you have a duo. And maybe it's like, oh, because in alchemy, it's like different catalysts do different things, and they do some science shit ass to explain or whatever. But you have something that'd be like a guild characteristic. It could give more information just as we go by having 2 characters. And as well as I think it'd be really cool just to see characters you wouldn't expect fighting together. Gray and Wendy would be cool. Like I said, Natsu and Sting would be really neat. You can have, I mean, Minerva and Yukino live in the same guild. I think seeing them fight side by side would be really cool. I still really want it to be like, I would love it if we see Yukino have more skills other than her keys. Because I still really would like the idea that at some point that Lucy's going to get those keys and Yukino is going to just go into a different magic, kind of like her sister. Because I just don't know what reason she has to stay with Celestial Spirit Magic, because Lucy has the other keys. Unless Lucy dies, Yukino has no real way to progress her magic outside of just the general thing. She could get like Aranometria, she could get Star Dress with her 3 keys, and then Star Dress Mix. But her Star Dress Mix is so limited. Like, she can mix 3, she's got a few pairs, and then if she could eventually, like, a triple if Lucy ever achieves that, and then Yukino follows suit. But other than that, I just don't really see that much of a value in her staying with Celestial Spirit Magic primarily. Because it's like, you can't grow as much with it. Because, like I said, Star Dress is really good. And then Star Dress Mix opens up a whole new door. But it's like Lucy can mix all her different keys in all these different variations. Whereas like Yukino would be able to in theory too, but she's only got 3 keys. Granted, in theory, her black key would be, as a Star Dress, stronger as a 1-for-1 individually more so than any of Lucy's would be. Obviously, Lucy has more magic, so that comes into play. But she's got something that'd be unique, but we've never really seen too much of it, so it's hard to say. I still really think that she should just give the keys to Lucy, and it should be one of those things where it's like she can come over and see her keys and be friends with them and like do stuff with them, because the keys can summon themselves and then go and then like hang out with them. I think that should be something that's obviously really cool and important to say. It's like, oh, well, they could be like, oh, Lucy comes to visit, or they could go by themselves, but she should just go do her own thing. Give the keys to Lucy, let Lucy achieve like the level that she should be eventually climbing up to, because like Yukino is like friends with her keys, but it's like hard to even really say, because she's got Libra, she's got Pisces with with those thems too, and then I can't pronounce it still, but it's like we don't even know if she's even friends with her snake. Obviously they have a contract, but it's like how much she has towards the celestial spirits isn't even close to compared to what Lucy has with them. And I'm like fumbling over these words. Lucy just has a much better bond with celestial spirits, not only with her keys, but as like the whole race in general. Because like we don't really see much for Yukino and Lucy, the keys that are contracted with Lucy, but Lucy's gotten along with the keys that have contracted with Yukino, and it's just like Lucy just has like a natural thing for it with them. All right, so let me get to the chapter. We'll see what's going on here. Let me post really fast on the Twitter, and I'll say, here's what we're doing, and then we'll get to actually the events of the chapter and see what's going on. I keep having this freaking Viernes picture I haven't changed. I gotta do that at some point. I haven't had just like a hype panel that I've really wanted to put up on screen lately. Let me see. I'll just put let's see what Gold Owl has for us this week. Then I'll just do the them's fucking hashtags, and then I'll get back to, I'll get the actual chapter, get through the chapter, and then we will talk about whatever the fuck goes on this week. I'm hyped to see what goes down. Okay, let's see. Ooh, Rogue is on the little thumbnail for the chapter, so let's see. He's probably on page 1. The cover. Okay, this might be one of my top wholesome covers. It's like Wendy, and she's baking bread, and she's just, I don't know if it implies Wendy's opened a bakery. I think that'd be actually a really nice end kind of thing for Wendy. Like once Wendy like gets to like full like adult, because like what she should now be like 16 or so, like maybe pushing 17. But it's like once she gets to like her more like actual like maybe like mid-20s, maybe like early 30s, figure out what she wants to do. I think a bakery would be really nice, because I think it would make sense for somebody who, you know, as a Sky Dragon Slayer, and we know that it has to do like she can smell like the quality of the air. So I imagine something like a bakery where it always just smells like fresh bread and baked goods would be something that would just be around that alley. It always just smells really nice in there. All right, let's see. Yeah, Kinmano, the hour changed. So pretty much for us, it's like until November, it will be 1 hour. It'll be at this hour. So it's like 11 for you or whatever time it is. But in November, it'll go back 1 hour. It just has to do with daylight savings because Japan doesn't do that. Let's see. I want to see if they're cuffed by magic sealing stone or what. And then if there's going to be any relevant designs. Gray doesn't seem phased at all. Wendy's upset. Carla's like struggling a little bit. Yeah, here we go. Just ropes. They were not bound at all. They just bust out. Okay, cool. What are they doing here? Oh no, Rogue is doing it. So maybe they were some form of magic sealing thing, or they just were waiting. Because I feel like there had to be something involved in there, just based off of Gray's surprise. At least that's what I would imagine. I'll have to wait and see what some of it says. Yeah, but Rogue just gets them out and then frees them. Fodders these dudes. Ooh, cool. This is actually a pretty cool attack from Rogue. Rogue just does like a big, like, kind of like shadowy wave of spikes pretty much. Gray just does, you know, just normal set of lances. Just takes these guys out. These guys are fodder. Yeah, these guys are just getting wrecked. You know, Wendy's just one-shotting them. Where's Sai, though? I'm trying to see if Sai gets taken out. Because I am actually very curious. It won't surprise me if Sai is just trash and he gets foddered, because all of his attacks so far have just seemed like sneak attacks, like he's got tricks. But I wouldn't mind if it like he was able to show that he has some skill. We have no idea where he sits in Gold Owl. And they only sent 2 people from Gold Owl to the Dogger Labyrinth. So it's like they sent God Serena, who could fight, and then Sai, who obviously just had some trick moves. So, like, again, I would like him to be at least decent, but it wouldn't surprise me if they just kind of, like, run him over. Let's see. Yeah, there's... Oh, yes! Yes! I was right about something. Fuck yeah. Okay, so 2 new dudes showed up. So maybe it is going to be like that, where we're always going to have these guys in pairs. I think that'll be really cool. It'll get designs and fast that away. It'll have cool fights. These dudes look kind of neat. It's like a dude who, he's got like this old Japanese style, but he's got like these cool big gauntlets. Like he looks, I'm trying to think, like an easy way to describe what's that wooden hairstyle? What's that one dude in One Piece, the ninja guy who has the huge head? You know, I don't know what that hairstyle is, but where it kind of looks like a crab. I've seen that in a couple characters in anime. That's just the first dude I immediately thought of. Just because I remember that dude. That character, I forgot his name. No, it's Raizo, right? That's the because he fought the other ninja dude, right? I wish Sabo was here just for 5 seconds to answer that for me, just because I'm trying to remember that dude's name, but like the obvious thing that makes him unidentifiable is this massive head, but I'm trying to think if his hairstyle's like that. But he has like these cool, almost like Gundam style gauntlets, which is really cool. I think that's a really neat thing to go on his like old Japanese style. And then he's got like a pipe, and then this other dude is just in all black with like a big sword. He looks pretty cool. Nothing special about him, but in terms of just general design, they look neat. Okay, Sai's okay. So that again, that's something that I have to say is notable. Sai is okay. So after all of these attacks, Sai either had to have dodged them, or he tanks some of them. So, because Sai has a name. I got excited for it because I called it. I was like, Signario sisters, maybe they're all going to be in twos. And it's like with alchemy, it's like science. You're mixing components, and it's like obviously you have all these different things that come into it, but ultimately you are mixing at least two different things together. So I think it makes sense for these guys to come in pairs. It seems at least I'm right so far. Maybe it's just these guys and it's a coincidence. But I did just think that was just like a neat call to make. But Sai, you don't see Sai get hit, I think, by any of the attacks. So Sai has to I have been dodging it. Because they just go, they don't like each do one attack. Like Wendy also does like a roar, so that's gonna take up a huge portion of the room. And it's not like Sai is like, oh well, because here's the thing: if Sai's able to dodge their attacks, that doesn't mean he can do anything. Like in the idea of he's able to like combat maybe one of them, that doesn't mean anything if there's three of them. And on top of that, Wendy's like one of the best supports in the series. So it's like he would just be in an all around bad position in general. But now it's a 3v3. So I'm hoping that he either fights Wendy or Sai, or yeah, side by side, Wendy or Rogue. I think Gray and Rogue would be a really cool matchup. The thing that I think I would rather, I'm just going to put out there, I'll make a decision. I'll just say this. I hope it's Gray and Rogue because I want Wendy to fight Sai. I think if Sai is not going to be a fighter, Wendy having to deal with his tricks and showing how Wendy just uses her utilities and stuff to get around him, I think that would be cool because maybe we can see other stuff for how that lays out. And also, maybe that's where we're going to see the rival bond. Because actually, that would be maybe where we see something really interesting. Because think about it like this. With Gray and Rogue, rival bond would only really just show us what? Sting or Natsu. That's the logical thing I think that we could get from them. Maybe we get a surprise where it's like freaking the rival. I guess like maybe Gajil with Rogue or something. Or I'm trying to think of some like curveball. Like maybe like he's Grace that thinks of suddenly Gildarts because like he's like, oh, how well he is with women, how strong he is. I want to be like that for Juvia. Something like that would be like a really cool twist, and maybe give like a callback to Ice Trail. But here's what I would like: imagine he uses the rival bond on Wendy, and then Wendy turns into like Urza. And it's like Wendy recently just did an idea, and it's like why Mishima had her do stuff with Irene. It's like it would call back nicely to the Alvarez, that point that they had, where they were just kind of like talking about help protecting her back before the war started, where it's like she sees Urza as a rival because like Wendy wants to be taken more seriously, she wants to be stronger, she wants to be more of a just capable woman, and like obviously Urza is a really strong role model for her, so I think it would make a lot of sense. And it would go like, it would be essentially like what Natsu would have for Laxus, but Wendy for Urza. And I think that would be a really nice thing too, because one thing that's really neat that Mishima has that like he doesn't really like, he does little nods for, but nothing like he hasn't done a lot to kind of keep up with it lately, is that Natsu, the way that Natsu has Igneel, Gildarts, and Laxus, Natsu has Wendy, Happy, and Romeo. Because Romeo is to Natsu what Natsu is to Gildarts. Wendy is to Natsu what Natsu is to Laxus. And then Happy is to Natsu what Natsu is to Igneel. Natsu was obviously raised by someone of a different species, but because of that, because they saw each other more as the individuals, they're close like a family. And they have a close relationship that they don't act it in full, but when it gets to pretty much the details of it, they are pretty much father and son. With Natsu and Laxus, and Wendy, you have like Wendy looks up to Natsu like an older brother, like Natsu looks up to Laxus like an older brother, and then with Romeo looks up to Natsu, though an older brother, like he looks up to more of like an idolish character. That's why we see him dress up more like Natsu, whereas when we see Natsu come back from the time skip between Alvarez to Tartaros, we see Natsu as more dressed kind of like Gildarts. And then it's not the official canon, but we did see Mishima draw old man Natsu of like in his like late 30s to 40s, and he does resemble Gildarts as Gildarts was before he came back in Alvarez and had his hair down and stuff. But yeah, these guys, I think these guys look cool. I think their designs are pretty neat. I'm guessing Gray will fight the more Japanese dude, and Rogue will fight the dude in all black, because I'm guessing. I think it'd be really cool if Rogue can do something badass with like, oh well, you think you can beat me while wearing all this darkness, and it's like he like does this cool like melding into this guy's coat, and like maybe like attacks him from the inside or something, does something badass like that. Like kind of like if you've seen Phoenix Priestess, the dude who fights Gajil, he's like turns into a shadow and he does stuff with blades. And I thought it was actually kind of interesting foreshadowing too, for the Grand Magic games. But Gajil, well, actually no, because it takes place after. It was foreshadowing, I guess. Really, when you get the official canon, it would be after, yeah. But goes into Gajil and then makes blades pop out of him, but it's just like, that doesn't do anything because obviously that guy had a bad matchup. But yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. I wonder if Sai has like a ranking for these guys. Oh, these guys, like I said, these guys are the blank 6 or 8 or something. But let's see. I hope these guys just don't get fodderized. I don't think he kills Sai. So he does something. Sai's like yelling, and then I'm not gonna get my Wendy sci-fi now. Damn it. But he's like yelling about something, and the Japanese dude gets mad and then says something. I wonder if he says Kots, because like this could be where Hades learned it. That'd be really cool, or like where it delved from. That'd actually be really good world building. Like without it even really like without expecting it. I'm gonna have to see this because that would make sense. Like this guy more Japanese style. This dude disappears. Who knows? Let me see. Okay, we get Natsu. Natsu's going after Lucy. Okay, yeah, we're on that. Sting and Yukino are with him. Oh, this lady's fucked. She's done. She's done. She's out. But okay. Okay. So Natsu pretty much just one taps her, breaks Lucy out, and then Athena shows up. So we're gonna be okay. The first thing, Natsu starts crying. Everybody starts crying around Athena. Oh. Well, okay, that's an interesting way to start it out. I'm very intrigued to see where this goes. Maybe it's like an emotion thing. It just makes people sad. I wonder like how that's gonna work. That's a weird way to start it. Like I'm just very intrigued now of like what Athena's weird style is gonna be. It was just such a sudden and weird open. I didn't expect. I like stuff like that though. I like when characters have like some weird unique presence, and there's just some form of weird trait to them that they do that doesn't have anything to do with like, oh, it's some crazy power level thing. It's just something that like a unique gimmick that they do just by them. Like for example, Blue Note, when it's raining because of his gravity, it makes the water fall around him. I just thought that was cool because it's like instead of his gravity making it so it's like, oh, there's no water, it pulls it down from the clouds, so it's making it worse for this dude and drenching him. I think that's actually pretty neat. Stuff like that. Or for like example, when remember when Ulquiorra when he releases and it looks like the green black rain. That was so cool. Stuff like that is just badass. Who's about to be broken? Jack is dead. Dude, yeah, Jack is fucked, dude. Jack is absolutely fucked. Like, I think that, like, as of right now, unless he's confirmed dead, there's potential that he'll be healed. But I see him just getting in a spot where he's gonna just be, where he's gonna have to be like in some weird machination, kind of like, I'm trying to think of words. Just some weird distorted figure of himself for him to kind of come back to. I really like the idea. Imagine this. And this isn't just because I like Radies. Jack dies, but he becomes Jack the Ripper as a conscious zombie. But he does like a thing where in combined. But because it's like, oh well, we're not close, but I can use my 2 spells at the same time because he has true magic too. So maybe he does a true magic version of his original spell. And turns him into a conscious zombie to where Jack is Jack the Ripper as a corpse. So he can just keep slashing even if he gets damaged. And it's like as long as he has mana, he'll just keep going. So he turns into kind of like Dante, but a zombie blade. Like he's just this zombie Beyblade. I think that'd be awesome. So I turns Wendy into Irene. Yeah, like imagine that. That would be so cool. Like that would be such a cool thing for like Wendy as a character. And that's what I would really like to see out of something like that. Cuz the rival bond, what was the point of it? What was the point of it being mentioned other than it's like, "Oh, hey, here's a thing. Don't you're not going to get it now, but just here's the thing. Just pay attention to it or not, but keep reading." That's what it feels like to me. I always like stuff like that. I'm a big fan of when there's like just like the one little note teasers, and then it's just keep going, and then you come back to it's like, oh, cool, because it just gives you something to be interested about. But I would love to see something like that. It would be so hype for Wendy if it's like Wendy's rival, yeah, someone like Irene. That would be really cool. Let me see something real quick. I really want to know if when this dude yells, if he's using the same technique as Hades. Because that was a weird technique that we never really got the full... I feel like we never really got the full explanation. Because he only used it once. It was so weird. And then he didn't use a technique like that again. Let me see. Because I feel like it has to be. Because then it'd be one of those things also where we could get an explanation of what something does. If Sai just gets killed, that would suck. At least for Sai. Or does he just yell at Sai? So I think it would make sense if it's like, oh, well, these guys, this style has to do with like fighting with your voice or something, or some weird thing like that. I want confirmation on it. Like I want that so bad. That's like even like the end stuff with Athena is really really intriguing. But for me, like what I want to know more than anything right now is whether or not this guy has the same techniques for this Hades. Because not in full, but just like that one. Because I just want to know if I really want to know if that's going to be. If that's going to be explained. I think that'd be really cool, because that again to me was something that I was always unsure of, like ever if we were ever going to really get in depth of. I always liked it. I always like, oh, this is a really cool, neat ability that he opened the fight with, and we never got it. Is the chapter released? Yeah, the chapter's out. It's just only in Japanese right now. You think would cause Natsu to go E&E? Something bad has to happen to Lucy where he thinks she's like in really bad danger. We had these Gold Owl sisters versus Wendy and Urza. Minerva would regain her Neo Minerva. I think that Neo Minerva versus the White Maid's just not gonna happen. She's gonna get one shot. I think that Demon Minerva would be really cool to see again. It'd be cool if we had a cooler person with gravity magic. In Black Clover or Fairy Tail. No, I don't want Jack to come back. Knock Brother should absorb him and use his power. I'd like Paladin Jack, but I think Jack as a zombie would be really cool. I really like the idea of zombie Jack. I'm for it. I would like some characters to get knocked out and knocked down and killed, but I like the idea of Jack doing it just because I like Jack's character has to do with Jack the Ripper, and I just have a bias because I always thought Jack the Ripper was a badass. Well, obviously in lore and actual events, like he was a bad dude, but in terms of the inspiration of that used for characters, always ends up with like characters who are always fucking cool to see do stuff. So let me see. He's saying smoke alchemy, but I feel like it could have to do with it. Maybe not. Maybe it doesn't. If not, it's not a big deal. I just thought that was that'd be a really neat moment to see. Let's see what these guys' names are too. Though. It's like Genai and Kotetsu, I think their names are. Unless that's just the general translation. Maybe one of those guys will have a different name. Oh, one sec. Not too S-Class. Yeah, he's pretty much. I mean, he got to go on the 100 Years quest, so he's good. What might happen today, Toga? Oh, cooler gravity matching fairy tale. I like Blue Note. The thing is just like, I don't think we should, is the thing. I think Blue Note is fine. I just don't, I don't think Mishima should have any gravity characters really that overshadow Shiki. I think Shiki needs to be his gravity dude. And he's had so many gravity characters over there, I don't think he needs to design another gravity guy. I think a character with gravity is fine, but I don't think we really need a gravity themed character. When do you think Diablos will appear? My guess is like near like the rougher parts of this arc. Maybe like it. So what I'm hoping is we have like waves of sides winning, where it's like, oh, Fairy Tail's winning for a point, Gold Owl's winning for a point. Fairy Tail's pulling back, Gold Owl pulls out something. Like they're like each time like that one of them has a pushback, the other is figuring out a way to work around it, where it's a constant back and forth. But I don't think it needs to be a constant back and forth of the fights themselves, but I think it needs to be back and forth on like events happening. Like every time that they get one side gets close, the other side gets close to another area. Every time one area gets thwarted, one area is also pushed back. Where I think that would be most beneficial just based off of the numbers we have right now, and then keeping the idea of Diablos and Selene showing up. I hope Rogue uses his sword. I thought it would be really funny. It's like, what if Rogue gives lore to this? What if it's like shortly before the Grand Magic Games, Rogue bought a sword, or he was gifted a sword. Think about this. Actually, this is what I like to imagine. I want to switch it slightly. Rogue was gifted this sword from a mission. He did something. He never thought about being a swordsman, but some guy felt so much of gratitude for what Rogue did, he gifted him one of his swords, and it was like a really nice sword. Rogue puts it on and wears it out of respect, but he doesn't use it. And then it's the points between the Grand Magic Games, and then you have later when we see him kind of like have it again for a short period of time. I think we see him have it again in, I think we see it very shortly in Alvarez. I don't remember off the top of my head if he had it, because I know we briefly see it for bits. Just he has it and then he doesn't have it again, where it's just like he's like, yeah, I got it, but I couldn't use it because I had no training. And so it's like Rogue's personal training for maybe the last couple years is he's actually been learning how to use a sword. So now he's ready, and we're finally ready. And he actually tells us like, yeah, I just had it then. I didn't pull it out because I didn't want to just swing it around. It would have been disrespectful. It'd be so funny, I think, in terms of the actual reason behind it, but it'd be like, okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. But we'll see. Paladin Jack gonna be crazy. I like Zombie Jack more than Paladin Jack. Like, the idea is, I would like Tabata to pick and choose. I want him to pick and choose all the characters that he would be fine with as being either that aren't like the major characters, the people he needs to stay either on the good side, essentially. And he should look at it as like, okay, these people are gonna either at some point get hurt, knocked out, come back. Some people are gonna die. I do think that a couple people at some point I think need to get taken out. You know, somebody. We don't need everybody. We just need like maybe like somebody important. Julius, obviously, or Lucius, like, you know, by the end. But I do think that it needs to be like something of somebody, but we never are gonna really know. It's one of those things with shonen, but at the same time, it's like we're in like kind of the later areas where I feel like it's way more possible, because whatever plans Tabata has for the characters, logically, at least as of right now, would end within this final eventual war. So if a character is to die, then I think it would be obviously the time for now. This dude versus Greg group look kind of like Odin. He doesn't look like an Odin copy. He has the same Japanese style. He doesn't really have any of the specific traits of him. There's like the clothing, it's different, and like pretty much every specific design, the general style is just a Japanese design. But he just has a top knot, and he has like crab hair. He doesn't have like the big flat head like Odin. And he's got like a pipe and fucking mech gauntlets. Like he's got like gauntlets on. Actually, hang on a second. He's wearing socks. Hold on. Hold on. Give me a second. I don't think Odin wears socks with his sandals. Like that's something I gotta give. Yeah, he wears no socks. I don't like looking at Odin's design. The fact that Oda gives him like almost nothing covering, like it's pretty much just like barely enough clothing to like cover his dick bulge, and then it's just legs, and he has hairy legs. It's awkward to look at. Greg claps Odin, but I respect that he doesn't wear fucking socks with his sandals. Why is this guy wearing socks? I don't like looking at this dude's feet either. Upsets me. It upsets me looking at this damn dude. Yeah, Odin's got his sleeves rolled up too. This guy's just, this is the short sleeves. The other dude looks cool. He looks like a biker. He's like a biker with a sword. You can kind of see a little bit of his face though too. I want to see what his sword is. His sword looks cool. I'm guessing he's going to fight Rogue though, and if he fights Rogue, it might be time. It might be time. Might be time to see him pull out that damn sword. Yeah, I would love to see like a Natsu just fucking rage moment. Oh, here, let me scroll up. I don't want to miss some of these comments. I'm here from the Caribbean. What's up, Yardy Taylor? How you doing today, man? Oh, blood manipulation is always really cool. It depends on the extent. This dude versus Gray. Oh, yeah, I read this one. Sting, observe the white mage power. I mean, Sting needs to figure something out. Things are looking weird for them right now. I don't know what their plan is going to be. I wonder if Sting would be immune to it. Because we see Natsu get teared up. We see Lucy Yukino. We see Happy, but we don't see Sting crying at all. So I wonder what that's about. And again, I'm very curious as to exactly what her power exactly is going to be when we get it more explained. Sting will eat out the white mage. I don't think about that. I feel like he might be immune to this ability. I hope Gray gets a legit power up this arc. I think he will. I think Gray's got something coming up. The Alchemist, do you think we'll have this stone from Harry Potter? Oh, the Philosopher's Stone? The Philosopher's Stone goes back to Nicholas Flamel, like way old. I don't know how old the legend and stuff actually goes, but I know the Philosopher's Stone is tied to alchemy, so there is a good chance we could get it. I'm just more surprised you went with Harry Potter and not Full Metal Alchemist, to be perfectly honest. Urza and Jalal are still trapped in the photo, but they don't know how to get out is the thing. They have to figure out how to get out or get saved. It's not like they haven't been trying to figure it out. They already said that no matter how much how much magic they've been using, it's not doing anything. Percival's gonna revive Cheon. I have to look. I haven't looked at the chapter yet. No, leave Cheon dead. I want him to leave Cheon dead, and then, like, he can't. Like, I think it'd be. Here's what I'd like. I'd like it so Percival can resurrect himself, but he can't resurrect other people. And then he can't resurrect Cheon, so he goes into a rage bit, and we see that fucking berserk Percival against this dude. Because this guy is just, like, indiscriminately going for kill shots against his friends. I want to see Percival fuck this guy up. And I don't like Cheon, but it depends on how Percival viewed Cheon. And I would really like to see Percival just fuck this dude up and just start slapping him around, because these guys apparently are strong. So I think it's to be really cool to see like an actual like capability of Percival moment. The chapter out? Yeah, the chapter's out. Minerva will save All and Urza. I think so too. Jade. Oh yeah, the dude who got a hole in him. Yeah, but I think the same thing though. It's like I think Percival should try and save him, but he can't. Because I would really like it if it's like there are ways for Percival to come back, but he is not. Whereas he has ways around it, his friends do not. So he needs to be cautious around that. Because I think it would make sense for his whole thing around death to be like, oh yeah, well he can't really die, but the people around him keep dying. And that, I think that would make sense for that early picture of him too, where he's like yelling and he's around like surrounded by graves and stuff. I can see One Piece fans attacking Fairy Tail fans again because the design looks like somewhat of Odin and King. I mean that might happen a little bit. I mean, it's similar more like Raizo, I'd say, than Odin. Because, like, looking at him, the only thing you can really say with Odin is like, he has that Japanese-ish style design. And then he has, like, the knot things in his back. But Odin didn't invent that. He's closer to, like, Raizo with, like, a normal-sized head. But he's got fucking mech gauntlets. The other guy's not in, like, a bunch of weird leather. He looks like he's just got some... Like, this dude looks like he's got a Bloodborne hat on. Let me look at a picture of this dude more. I don't think we get any side pictures of this dude. Because I can't tell if he has, like, what kind of hat this dude has on. But he looks like he's got, like, a Bloodborne hat. I don't think we get any side angles. Because right after that one part with the other dude, we go right to Natsu. Poor Sai. I wonder if Sai gets killed or he just gets moved. Oh, you didn't watch Full Metal? Oh, that's fair enough. Man, the Jalal slander, I don't even care. That's fine. I don't even want to go into this. I'll have to point out more stuff. Oda's been, by the same logic, Oda's copping Mishima. I think Elfman will get a cool magical beast like mythical Zoans or maybe Basilisk from Harry Potter. I mean, Basilisk as well as for just from Harry Potter, but yes. I'd like to see Elfman get some more things. Elfman, I mean, he got his cool lion form, but it's like Elfman, I feel like Elfman has such high potential and we just don't really get to see stuff for him. Makes me upset. I would really like to see some actual more in depth of like Elfman's capabilities and actually like seeing him perform and go out and do some stuff. Just because I've always actually really liked Elfman, and his early fights are cool. His magic is cool. It's easy to work with. You just give him some fucking cool looking monster form, and it has each are gonna have like maybe one or two tricks, and then he switches to other ones. He can do partial ones. He does full body. He has ways of copying certain animals and traits of their abilities. I think Takeover and Elfman have always been really cool, but Mishima just hasn't really done much with him in a long time. Like, since Grand Magic Games, really, like, after that, Elfman just kind of gets shafted. Because, like, he gets a part in... The thing is, like, it works starting out in Tartaros. And, like, they do some more with it in the anime, which is really weird. Because, like, you'd expect... Rogue. You'd expect Elfman to have more of, like, maybe, like, a turnaround, like, fight. Like, he actually fights one of the bigger enemies. He has, like, a moment to shine where he makes up for it, at least as best as he can for what happened earlier with, like, the guild and Lisana and stuff. And then it's, like, in Alvarez, he has, like, a match with, you know, him and Lisana against Agil. And I think it's off-screen. It's just like, man, what the fuck, man? It's like, I think that would have been a good fight. Because Elfman and Lisana together from feats... as a duo are Spriggan level, and they have ways of resistances of elements. So it's like, okay, I could see ways for them to win as a team, and we just didn't get to see it, which was rough. Because it would have been cool to see something from Lisana too, because Lisana has had very, very little, and her as a character has always just been really weird of what she's up to. Because you can never really tell if, like, Lisana is ever going to be relevant or not. Sometimes it seems like she's going to be, and then she just kind of hangs out. So, like, she feels like how Mira Jane was before she got her powers back a lot of the time, I feel like. Oh, man. My dog saw people walking outside. You're fine, bud. So Athena shows up, everyone starts crying. Maybe a similar magic or curse compared to Zareth. Well, they said that they said that she was made through alchemy but can use magic. So it's like, I wonder what she's doing. Is this a magic? Is it alchemy? Is this against something like a curse? Can she use other abilities? How do you think a Roman setting would be in an era? Do you want High Republic, Low Republic, Triumphants? I'd have to look at them all to see kind of like what specifics I like and dislike about each of them. Urza Minerva will team up is cool. I think that'll be a really cool team up. I really like the idea after thinking about it more. I really like the idea of Lucy and Minerva teaming up more than Urza and Minerva. Because I think it makes more sense for Minerva to be around Lucy's level than be around Urza's level. And on top of that, I think it'd be really nice to see, like, as a progressive spot, to see Lucy and Minerva now versus where they were during the Grand Magic Games. Because Lucy never got her revenge on getting beaten up, but I don't think she needs to have a fight to beat Minerva for it. But if we have a fight where they're fighting, you know, either equal or Lucy has the clear, stronger position, I think that would be just as good. And especially if Minerva acknowledges it too, I think it would be really good for their characters. Man, always hating on Jalal for no reason. You mean Philosopher's Stone Bachelor Doctor by J.K. Rowling? She made a whole... No, she didn't. Stop it. Goofy. The thing about Lisana is Lisana wasn't bad bringing Lisana back, because the way that Machine went about it made sense and had parts of the story. The problem was bringing her back and not really doing anything with her. And it seemed, again, she's a character that seemed fine at that point, because in Sirius Island, she had showed, like, we had parts where it's like, oh, well, you know, look how fast she's doing her takeover switches and stuff, like showing growth. We had her doing her best in fights, having moments with Mira Jane and whatnot, and talking to Elfman, having like parts where she's having just friend moments with Juvia and like bonding with members of the guild, and it's just seeing where it seems like, okay, she's blending in. She's not like obviously like directly in the main cast, but she's you see her be relevant in active events. And then after that, she just doesn't participate in Grand Magic Games, in Tartaros. Alvarez could have been a really good part to do something with her. That's why I really wish we would get a Strauss sibling spinoff where we could get all three of them and have them up to doing stuff. Is Minerva not wearing her makeup? I don't think so. She's busy. She's out in the field. She's got important shit to do. I thought the sisters show up. No, I feel like the Signario sisters are too strong to put out too early. With Athena, this is actually a pretty good display. Maybe we'll see exactly, like, you know, just what makes her so dangerous, what we got to worry about, and something that Natsu can't just steamroll. Because Natsu, obviously, out of the main cast members, is the strongest right now. So where Natsu goes, you have to make sure that, like, he can't just, again, steamroll over all events and then just fast track whatever parts in the story that are going on at the time. And then just real quick, because we've been going on for, what, like an hour or so? If you can just thumbs up the stream for the people that are here. Thumbs up the, you know, hit the button. Subscribe if you haven't. You can join the membership. It's only got like a $1 or $2 a month. Really helps the channel. I'm getting my schedule as back in order as I can. I've got a lot of video ideas at least planned out. I actually, there's some that I really want to talk about. It looks like I have to do one of them soon. Because I really need to do one on Gray over his potential connections to alchemy and to talk about that. I might try and get that out later this week. I might try and get it set up and maybe recorded in the next few days and maybe get out this weekend or something. But I definitely want to get that up before we get to the actual chapter, because it's something that I think we could really see get expanded upon too. I might wait, though, because I might wait to see if it's confirmed and then do a video on, like, how it progresses. If it is, it's essentially, like, just knowing of how alchemy can advance Gray and why I think this could be a pretty Gray important arc. Well, minor characters, it's like, when you say, like, minor characters staying on the level and they're irrelevant, you can't really say the characters when you have like when you find out stuff like, oh well, Urza's actual backstory, you figure out where Urza's at now, and then like Minerva can't just show up and be Urza's level. It doesn't like it would just be crazy for her to make that jump when we've seen all this stuff Urza's accomplished versus Minerva's accomplished since their fight. It's like Urza's done so many more things, made way more leaps and bounds, and we know about her background and stuff, so it's like she also has this, she has a way more powerful lineage on top of that. She's been through more, she's achieved more, and she comes from more, really, when you think about it. Well, the thing about Blue Note too is like Blue Note fought a hurt, out of shape Guildarts, and on top of that, we knew we were going into people like the Spriggan. We wouldn't have been able to do anything with the Spriggan if Blue Note was still a threat to Natsu. Minerva was talking about Urza. I mean, she's not really associated with Jalal though. She's more associated with Urza. I think he needs a group to help execute his plan. I'd like to believe that Ignia has followers. I don't think he would look at it as the same. I could see him having maybe one person in his group that he's like, you know what? I kind of like you. I could see you as a friend. Like, on the way towards that. Because it's not above Ignia. We just don't really know what Ignia, in depth as a character, likes to make you his friend. Like, what are the traits for him to be like, you know what, you're a cool dude. I want to talk to somebody like you, kind of thing. Tartarus, you're standing right in front of the chat box, buddy. I can't see. I'm sure Jalal will do fine in this arc. It's just like Mishima has done this constantly, where he'll have Laxus be in an arc, Laxus does some stuff, and then Jalal will be in the next arc. And Mishima loves Jalal. Like, he loves to fuck with him, but it's the same thing with Lucy. He likes to fuck with Lucy too, but he already said that, like, Mishima has said out of all the characters in Fairy Tail, Lucy's his favorite. He likes to fuck with Lucy all the time. Does that with Jalal all the time. So it's like, I just don't think it's something you have to worry too much about. Like, he's always shown that he's really like Jalal. I mean, the entire reason that he kept that Jalal's going and still relevant is because how fucking popular and cool he is. For the chapter, I read it of Manga Poke, which is the Japanese app. It's not out yet in English. Well, that's what I'm saying. Minerva right now, we don't know how strong she is. We know Minerva where she was a year prior, and we know Minerva's potential. So Minerva, a year later, being at Spriggan level, and being somewhere closer to like Lucy, I think is more logical. You can't have Minerva jump tiers like that just to have her still be relevant to Urza, to have Urza as a rival with it. It doesn't work for that. It doesn't make any sense. It would be silly. Like, it just doesn't sit anywhere close as a logical way for her character to leap up to. Her character meeting up to somewhere, meeting up to someone like, lower Spriggan, I think is fine. She was clearly able to fight the Historia versions of Spriggan, and had a year plus to train on top of that, so I could see her being at that level. Because you have to keep in mind, in Grand Magic Games, she was weaker than Jura. Jura is fodder to a Spriggan. The gap between now and the Grand Magic Games is 2 and some change years. When you compare that to Urza, who Urza can destroy a majority of the Spriggan, it's a giant jump from Minerva. People are just being sus in the chat now. Thinking the crying aspect could be connected to her backstory. I think it's one of the abilities it has. Like, maybe it's going off the idea of how people are all susceptible to their emotions, like including dragons. And so it's like it messes with something like that. Because remember what one of the things that Zareth talked about was that Larcade wasn't powerful enough to affect our Acnologia, but in theory, Acnologia still should be susceptible to those things because those are just instinctual and have to do with how he still as a person is built. So maybe that's what the concept it's going off of. It's like, oh well, everything that has emotions is in a way susceptible to abilities that affect emotions and whatnot. So I think that the concept of that would make sense. It just depends on how it's how we're really going to see it in further execution. Kagura? No, I don't think Kagura's going to show up. I don't like because Kagura I don't think has the climb potential as Minerva. Minerva I think has a much better level of area to get stronger and more powerful. I'm happy we got some new characters to this chapter too. I was very happy about that. One thing I really want to know if we're going to have anything addressed, I didn't really talk too much about it, but I'm hoping, is the fact that everything in this forest that they're in is triangular. Like the mushrooms and the trees are all covered with triangular spikes. The leaves are all triangular. That might just be like, you know, a silly art thing, but I'm wondering if there's any reason for it. My guess is probably just an art thing, but still. Kagura is not showing up this arc. Like, what is Kagura gonna do? Kagura can't do anything. She would get one shot by almost everybody. Like, she could probably beat Sai, but that's probably it. If these guys are any form of decent fight for Rogue and Gray, I don't see what Kagura is gonna do. Because I don't think Kagura is stronger than Gray. I don't think Kagura is stronger than Rogue. I don't think Kagura is stronger than Wendy. I wonder what Jalal's plan is going to be once he sees Athena. I still hoping my Dragon Slayer Athena theory will come true. Or not Dragon Slayer Athena, Dragon Slayer Jalal theory will come true. 5th gen. Have him eat some dragon meat. Become a freaking heavenly body dragon. That'd be so sick. Kagura is cool. I like Kagura as a character in her design, but like Kagura, like strength-wise, she can't keep up. This is like the people that were like complaining, like, oh, there should have been a way that Nightwalker could have came back and fought in this arc, and it's like, are you serious? She was pre-Sirius Island Urza level and hasn't fought in almost 10 years. And you think she's going to show up and be fighting relevant people this late in the game? Like, it was such a astonishing moment for for me, just to see some of those people. It's like, you just want to ignore logic in the series just to have this character return for no reason, just to have her do something. Like, she doesn't have her weapon got destroyed. She hasn't fought in almost a decade. She doesn't have magic in almost a decade. Like, she can't fight these guys. It was ridiculous. But anyway, other than that, though, solid chapter. I really liked how we did get some new characters. I like, at least from what we're seeing so far, that Gold Owl goes in pairs for their relevant people. So hopefully we're going to get a couple more of these little duos and a couple more of these cool fights where they're going to be just dealing with fighting weird alchemists. Wendy's spot, though, I do think is going to be very intriguing in this next couple chapters, because is she going to be fighting with either Gray or Rogue? Is she going to be trying to be support for both of them? I think it'd be really cool if Wendy didn't directly fight. She just did like in the back support, to where she's learning about alchemy. She's like looking at it, trying to figure out how it works, figuring out how she can work her magic to counter it. Because that would be really cool if Wendy's like, okay, just all right, okay, I see this thing, and then she figures out, okay, there's a type of energy they produce. I think that'd be cool if it's as well. We get like an energy name for like how alchemy works. She just has to pretty much use her magic, grab one of it, enchants her magic, enchants that into her magic, and then she's like, okay, bam, conceptual enchantment. Now she knows how to cancel certain effects for alchemy and do stuff like that. I think that'd be really cool. And I'm always up for some Wendy hype moments, especially if it's like anything that like gives us more explanations on how abilities work and shit. But yeah, I thought this was pretty good. The Athena twist at the end was very intriguing to me. I'm very more so curious on what we're going to be finding out about these movesets with these dudes. Because I feel like this guy's ability... is going to be related to what Hades did at the start of his fight. Because I don't know, I feel like just yelling something and then turning somebody into like, just targeting somebody with some like really dangerous potential kill spell, or I guess kill move because it's alchemy, would make sense of what Hades would do. And I think it would also make sense that Hades would know, like obviously focused in magic, but has a understanding of the other power systems. It's like he has a basic understanding of alchemy, has a basic understanding of curses, he has a basic understanding of spiritual arts. So he can use just levels to it, but he never really focused on it. So it's like he never used it in depth in combat because it was more of like a research thing, and he has a couple tricks of it. But he pretty much just does magic stuff because his whole focus is in magic. I think that'd be great. I really am curious about that. It might be nothing. The Athena thing is very intriguing. Obviously, I want to see this Gray and Rogue fight. This is going to be really cool. And then, yeah, I definitely want to see how these guys are going to be doing stuff with alchemy. The fact that Gray is talking specifically to the Japanese guy means Rogue is probably going to fight the cloak, or the big garbed dude in black. Which means, because that guy has a sword, there's a good chance Rogue might pull out his sword. And that's what I really want to leave this. I want to leave this stream on talking about. Is I want people to think about that. We might actually get Rogue using his sword. I think it'd be really cool though, and funny too, if he pulled it out and it's a prop. And it's like, dude, this is just for design. It's like this. I just thought it looked really cool, so I bought it. And yeah. But then maybe it's like he fights a guy and like the dude breaks the blade, but he just has the handle and he just uses shadows to kind of make a blade, but he has an actual handle that he kind of guides it. I think that'd be really cool. I think that'd be a really neat kind of way to go for Rogue. I think they're gonna have just kind of like a bit with Athena and just have we're gonna get a display of her. I don't think we're gonna get Athena all out. And I don't think I also don't think we're seeing Athena at her peak. I don't think this is because from what it's implied and what we see is like Athena is still evolving as her like design and model is. Because I would assume based off how they're talking, they've been advancing her. So she's probably had multiple upgrades. What would be really cool is if Athena started out kind of like a little cute chibi robot, kind of like Pino, and then just became more slowly over time focused on like combat and like battle and extermination and stuff like that. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I could see it really going into just being like a display, because nothing really bad's gonna happen, I would assume, at the start of this. Like, I could see it like we get she tries to do some really cool attack. Maybe we just get like a power showing. Sting is immune to her effects, so he's able to rescue those guys and get them out of there. Maybe he goes into White Shadow Dragon mode, pulls everybody into shadow, and then just kind of like zips everybody out of the area, and then goes. And I think that'd be really cool. It's like if he's just like, it's like, oh, you can do that? And it's like, yeah, and it's a good thing I can, because I literally had to fucking do all that just to make sure we didn't die by that weird robotic monster. But anyway, other than that, though, I'm going to call it good here. I'll talk to you guys when the chapter comes out and we have some more context. I do think we need a Godjill this arc. I don't think we need Laxus. I think Laxus is good to sit this one out after he got bit in the last arc, where he can kind of like... I think this, like, for a bit, he should be, like, mulling over in the background, kind of, like, figuring out what the status now of his powers are and what exactly direction his dragon slaying magic is going to go with. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later.